Fellas, I'm going to be predicting the UFC rankings in every single weight class a year from now, and we'll go in there with a heavyweight division. The heavyweight champion a year from now, it is going to be Tom Aspinall. It's 100% going to be Tom Aspinall, and this is the one I'm most confident with. The title lineage in the next 365 days in the heavyweight division, it's going to go three ways. After one, Tom Aspinall fights John Jones, and he beats John Jones to become the undisputed heavyweight champion. Two, Aspinall gets promoted. Jones ducks. You know, he doesn't fight Aspinall. They promote Aspinall as the undisputed champion, or they make Aspinall fight a contender like Cyril Gane, and he'll beat Cyril Gane. Even if they do Jones and Aspinall, and Jones beats Aspinall, they'll still give Aspinall an immediate title fight when Jones retires. He'll fight somebody like Almeida or Cyril Gane, and he's going to beat them. The champion will be Tom Aspinall. I'm super confident. I will delete this channel if Tom Aspinall isn't a champion this time next year. Number one in the division is going to be Jailton Almeida. Yeah, Jailton Almeida is on an absolute roll, and I know a lot of people give him stick for being boring and whatever, but I really do feel like his grappling is some of the best in the heavyweight division, and he's a stylistic nightmare for a lot of people. I think he's better than a lot of these top contenders. I think he ragdoll Cyril Gane. He probably beats Alexander Volkov. Him and obviously he already lost to Blades, but you know, he was winning that fight up until he got stopped. I feel like he's got more potential than a lot of these heavyweight contenders, so I think Almeida's going to be number one this time next year and potentially setting himself up for a title fight with Tom Aspinall. Number two, it's going to be Cyril Gane, the gatekeeper of the top five. I don't think he beats Almeida. I don't think he beats Aspinall, so I don't see him being ranked number one or anywhere close to a title, but Cyril Gane, I do think he's kind of overhated. I know he's inactive and he gets a lot of these big opportunities. He is a bit of a duck, so he's actually not overhated. But I think from a skill set perspective, you've got to respect him. One of the best strikers in the division. Had slightly improved grappling that he showed in the fight with Volkov, but I'm going to put him at number two. And then the next three is going to be Alexander Volkov, Sergey Pavlovich, and Curtis Blades. You can just mix and match these guys. I'm not bothered in which order it's in. All three of them are going to stay in the top five. Neither of them are going to leave the top five. I think they're all going to stay in the top five a year from now. They're good enough to stay in the top five, not good enough to become actual champions. So I think those three are going to be in the top five. Then number six, I've gone Waldo Cortez Acosta. I think his limit is the top five, but I think he's massively underrated. He's going to smash Sergey Spivak tomorrow. Seven, Shamil Gaziev himself is going to rise up and go on the title walk. Number eight, Talison Teixeira knocks out Derek Lewis, probably moves up to number eight. And number nine is going to be Marcin Tybura. Very well-rounded. Again, just the top 10 gatekeeper of the heavyweight division. So if we compare the current state of the heavyweight division to the predicted and what I think the significant changes are going to be. First of all, by John. There's no way that John's in the heavyweight division unless Dana White lets him hold onto that belt for another year, which I think by that time we would have boycotted the UFC. Jones ain't going to be in the UFC. He's going to be Gunners. So Jones, goodbye. And Aspinall now made a takeover. I really don't see there being too much difference in the actual heavyweight division because it's a very slow-moving division. But I do feel like Aspinall by that time will be a champion. He'll probably have the fight with Jones or maybe Cyril Gane. And Almeida, I think, would have cemented himself as the number one contender in that division. So I think Almeida and Aspinall will take over. Light heavyweight. I think the light heavyweight champion a year from now is surprisingly for a lot of people, Yuri Prohaska. I think Yuri's going to win the belt back. I think the title lineage in the light heavyweight division in the next couple of years is going to be a rematch between Ankalaev and Alex. And after thinking about this matchup, I'm leaning towards Ankalaev winning this fight. I think Ankalaev will beat Alex in the rematch. And then after that, I reckon they're going to do Ankalaev versus Yuri Prohaska. Yuri's studying at university. I reckon when he comes back, he'll get an immediate title fight against Ankalaev. And I actually think he's a terrible matchup for Ankalaev. I'm picking Yuri Prohaska to beat Ankalaev if they fight. I think the weirdness of him, and then based off what we saw with Ankalaev against Alex, I think Yuri's a terrible matchup for Ankalaev. Super dangerous. And I think Alex will either be retired by this time. You know, he's, I think, 37 years old. I reckon if he loses to Ankalaev again, it's unlikely there's going to be a year from now. Or he's going to move up to the heavyweight division to get a legacy there. I don't think Alex is going to be at light heavyweight a year from now. So I'm going Yuri number one, and I'm going to go Ankalaev. Well, I'm going to go Yuri as a champion. I think Ankalaev will be number one in the division. Like I said, I reckon he loses to Yuri Prohaska, so he gets promoted down to number one. But I can see him beating a lot of these other contenders in the light heavyweight division and kind of stopping, the likes of Carlos Ulberg and some of the other guys on the come up. So I think Ankalaev will be number one in the division. Number two, I think, will be Khalil Roundtree. I reckon Roundtree's going to have a rise up in the next year. Obviously, he's got that fight with Jamal Hill coming up in a couple of weeks, and I think he beats Jamal Hill. Terrible fight for Jamal Hill. So I think Khalil Roundtree will be number two. Probably doesn't win a belt. I don't see him beating Yuri. I don't see him beating Ankalaev. I think Ulberg could be a tough matchup too, but I put him at number two. At number three, I think Carlos Ulberg will kind of stay. Carlos Ulberg, I feel like this guy, after his last couple of performances, he's destined to be a top 5 gatekeeper. Like, I think he loses to the likes of Alex, Yuri, Ankalaev, like I just said, Khalil Roundtree. I think those are all bad matchups for Carlos Ulberg. I think him and Roundtree's 50-50. But I think he could beat everybody else, you know what I mean? I think you put him against, like, any other guy, maybe like a Dominic Reyes. I could see him beating a Reyes, so I think he's going to be a top 5 gatekeeper. I feel like that's the destined legacy for Carlos Ulberg. Number 4, Dominic Reyes. We're going to see the Devastator go on another rise. I think he could beat beaten, like, you know, the likes of Jamal Hill, I think he could beat an Alexander Rakic, which I think he will do in his next fight. I reckon he'll get put up against one of them, maybe a Jan Blachowicz rematch, I'm not sure. So I'll put him at number 4. I don't see him becoming a champion, but he's super dangerous. He's on a, what is it, a 2-fight winning streak now, both by finish. So I think Dominic Reyes will be number 4 by the end of next year, or by this time next year. And I think number 5 will be Mingyang Zhang, the Chinese prospect of the light heavyweight division. He's got a fight booked with Johnny Walker. He's going to absolutely, that is a terrible fight for Johnny Walker. You know, that's a coughing baby versus a hydrogen bomb. Zhang Mingyang's going to destroy him. And I think after that, they'll do Jan Blachowicz versus Zhang Mingyang. And at this stage, I know Jan Blachowicz will beat Carlos Ulberg. I'm picking Zhang Mingyang to win that fight, and I think he will end off this time next year in the top 5 of the light heavyweight division. And for the rest of the division, I think number 6 will be Jamal Hill. He'll have a little bit of a fall off, but he'll keep his place. Number 7 will be Azamat Mirzakhanov. He's going to knock out Brenton Ribeiro tomorrow, and he'll probably get one more win. Number 8 will be Alexander Rakic. He's just going to have a fall off in the rankings, probably stays inactive. And number 9, I reckon it'll be Nikita Krylov. He's got a fight booked in a few weeks. I think it's against Bogdan Guskov. I forgot who he's fighting, but I think he's going to win his fight, and he's just going to stay at number 9 as like a top 10 gatekeeper. The significant change in the light heavyweight division is going to be Alex Pereira leaving the division. I don't believe Alex is still going to be at light heavyweight a year from now. He's either going to be gone from the sport or is going to be moving up to heavyweight. And I think we have some brand spanking new contenders. Khalil Roundtree's going to rise up. Dominic Reyes is going to get back in the top 5, which is going to be mental. And I think Zhang Mingyang and potentially even Azamat Mirzakhanov could break the top 5. And Yuri Prochazka having a comeback. I really do feel like Yuri's going to be destined to become a champion again. He looked really good against Jamal Hill. His head movement had improved. I think him and Ankalaev, I'm leaning towards Yuri winning that fight. Anyway, the middleweight division. I think the champion of the middleweight division a year from now will be Dricus du Plessis. Now, I think the title lineage is going to be, obviously we've got him and Chimaev, and I've said a million times, and I still agree, this is one of the most 50-50 fights I've seen in the UFC in a long time. I feel like the winner of this fight is going to stay the champion in the middleweight division for a long time. But from 51 out of 49, or 51% of me is saying that Dricus is going to win this fight. I'm picking Dricus to beat Chimaev with absolutely zero confidence. And I feel like if he can do that, he beats any other contender. You're telling me if he manages to pull off a win over Chimaev, he's losing to fucking Imavov or Barallo? I don't think he will. I reckon he'll beat Chimaev, beat another contender, and end off this time next year as a champion. Number 1 will be Nasruddin Imavov. Now, hear me out. There's a reason Chimaev's not number 1. Yeah, I think Imavov's going to be number 1. I reckon they're going to do Imavov versus Dricus if Dricus can beat Chimaev, or maybe they'll give him number 1 contender fight, but I don't think he beats Dricus du Plessis. And I think they might do him versus Caio Bravo, either before or after that fight with Dricus. And I reckon he beats Brallo. I think Imavov's, I would favour Imavov to beat Brallo at this moment in time. So I think he'll stay at number 1. Probably doesn't win a belt, doesn't really lose to anybody else outside the champ. I reckon they'll do Imavov at number 1. Number 2, I think Chimaev will be number 2. Now, like I said, I think he loses to Dricus du Plessis. So I don't think he's going to necessarily move too far in the rankings. But I feel like after losing to Dricus du Plessis, he's going to fight another contender, probably in the top 7 range, maybe like a Cannonier or somebody else. And he's going to smash them to bits. So I think Chimaev will end up at number 2 in the middleweight division, only ever losing to the champion. I think number 3, Strickland's going to keep his place. A lot of people have the prediction that Strickland's going to fall off. I think Strickland will keep his place at number 3. I think Strickland, he beats a lot of these up-and-coming middleweights, like an Anthony Hernandez, like a Roman Dolidze, like a Jared Cannonier. I know Cannonier's not really up-and-coming, but I think he beats a lot of those guys. I know we fought Cannonier a few years ago and lost, but it was a bit of a robbery. But I really do feel like Strickland's only going to lose to the elite of the division, like a Dricus or a Chimaev or any other guy at the top. I feel that would be a bad matchup for Strickland. I think Barallo would be a terrible matchup, but they've already said they're not going to fight each other as well. So I think Strickland is going to stay in the top 5, not really have any significant moments throughout the year, but just kind of cement himself at number 3. Number 4, I think Caio Brallo will be number 4. Like I said before, I really do feel like they're going to do a fight with Imavov and Barallo, maybe at UFC Paris later on this year, and I'm going to go with Imavov to win that fight. And after that, I think we'll see Barallo against maybe the winner of Hernandez and Dolidze, or maybe like a Whitaker and Adesanya, and I think he beats all 4 of those guys, so I'll say Barallo's going to be number 4. And number 5, I reckon will be Israel Adesanya. I don't really know what Adesanya's going to do in this year, but I think maybe they'll do him against maybe the winner of Hernandez and Dolidze. I know I keep mentioning that matchup, but I think the winner of that fight will get something big. And I think he beats Roman Dolidze. I think he beats Anthony Hernandez. So I think Adesanya will end off the year at number 5 if he hasn't retired, because he's also a big name that could potentially be gone from the sport in 12 months. Number 6, I think Robert Whitaker will keep his place, beats maybe Rainy Derrida, and then loses to another top contender. Number 7, Jared Cannonier keeps his place. Anthony Hernandez at number 8, beats Roman Dolidze, loses loses to the elite. And number 9, I think Ikram Aliskerov will make a rise to the middleweight rankings in the top 10. So the significant changes at middleweight. Number 1, Dricus could become the middleweight god. Now, I know Anderson Silva's still the middleweight god, but you're telling me if Dricus goes out there, beats Chimaev, and then beats like a Kyle Brala or a Nasidim Imavov, he's not one of the middleweight greatest of all time. I think if a win over Chimaev could potentially put him above Israel Adesanya. So I think it'll be a massive year for Dricus du Plessis. Ikram Aliskerov's back. How are you doing, Ikram? You know, fought Robert Whittaker, got finished. I think he's going to build himself up in the next year, get maybe 3, 4, potentially more wins, and break into the top 10 of the middleweight division. Welterweight, I think the champion of the welterweight division a year from now is going to be, and still, Jack Della Madlena. They're going to do the title lineage of him versus Islam Makhachev. And again, another really 50-50 fight like Dricus versus Chimaev. But I really don't understand why people are saying JDM's going to get ran over by Makhachev. I'm leaning towards JDM winning that fight. What he just showed against Bilal with the grappling defense, the 5-round stamina, and obviously his boxing ability, and from what we've seen and how many close fights we've seen Makhachev in before against top guys, I'm leaning towards JDM beating Islam and then beating another contender. I think he beats Ian Gary. I reckon he beats Sean Brady. I think he beats Joaquin Buckley. All tough matchups, don't get me wrong, but I'm going to, at this moment, lean towards JDM beating all 3 of those guys. So I think right now, JDM looks pretty much unstoppable at welterweight. I'm picking him to stay the champion. At number 1, I think it will be Shavkat Rakhmonov. Now, Shavkat's currently injured, so I actually don't know if he's going to fight again in 2025, but I don't reckon they're going to drop his rankings. He's got a couple of good wins in the UFC welterweight division. I don't think they're going to drop his ranking, and maybe he's going to pick up a win against the top contender. I don't think he's going to stay inactive for the next 365 days. He's going to fight like a Joaquin Buckley or a Sean Brady. He's probably going to beat one of those guys and kind of just keep himself at number 1. I don't think he will have fought for a belt in the next year because of his injury. Shavkat's going to stay at number 1. Number 2, Ian Gary's going to build himself back up and be number 2. Yeah, Ian Gary's tough to call. I don't see him becoming a champion. Like I said, he's already lost to Shavkat. I think JDM would beat him as well, but I could see him beating like a Sean Brady or another one of these contenders in the middleweight, in the welterweight division. So I think Ian Gary's going to be at number 2 this time next year, maybe lining up for a title fight. Number 3, I'm going to go Joaquin Buckley. He's got a fight booked with Usman next week. He's going to beat Usman, probably finishes him as well. And then after that, he likely just stays in the top 5 for a long time. He is, you know, potential runner-up for a champion. It wouldn't surprise me if Joaquin Buckley is going to be the guy to become a champion. He's on an absolute roll, stylistic nightmare for so many people, but as of right now, I think Joaquin Buckley is going to be in the top 5. I think 3 is a safe space. Number 4, hear me out with this one. Islam Makhachev. I haven't forgotten about Makhachev. I think he's going to be in the top 5 a year from now, but I've put him at number 4 because, like I said, he's going to get the fight with JDM, the champion, and he's going to lose to JDM in my, opinion. And I think after that, I don't think he's going to move down to 155. If he fights JDM, loses to JDM, they're going to put him somewhere in the rankings of the welterweight division. So I think somewhere in the top 5 would be fair for a guy like Islam Makhachev. Maybe he beats a contender. Maybe they do like an Islam Makhachev versus, I don't know, Ian Gary, and he manages to beat Ian Gary. I'm not sure what they're going to do, but I think by the end of this year, he's going to be ranked in the top 5 of welterweight, and he's going to be number 4. And number 5, I've gone with Sean Brady. Same kind of guys at the top of the welterweight division. Yeah, Sean Brady, I reckon they'll do him versus like a Shavkat or an Ian Gary. I think both of those guys could beat Sean Brady, but then I think he'll bounce back with a win over somebody like Jeff Neal or Michael Morales, and he'll beat one of those guys. So I think Sean Brady's going to kind of stay in the top 5, maybe a bit of a gatekeeper for the top 5. And number 6, I reckon it'll be Bilal Muhammad. He's going to have a bit of a fall off. I think he will lose again in the next year. Number 7, I'm going to go Leon Edwards. Again, doesn't really do anything significant. Maybe beats Michael Morales and that's it. Number 8, Michael Morales. And number 9, I've gone with Carlos Prates. Picks up a win or 2, cements himself in the top 10. Significant changes in the welterweight division. The first one is Islam joining the contender list. Now, again, I don't think Islam beats JDM, but I think he will be in the top 5 of the welterweight division. If he loses to JDM and Islam Makhachev isn't ranked in any division, it would be disgraceful. So I think the UFC would put him in the top 5 of the welterweight division. Maybe he beats his contender. I also think the big Bilal fall-off will take place. He'll lose to JDM, well, he already has obviously lost to JDM, and I think he'll fight again later on this year. But I don't really see there being any favourable matchups anymore for Bilal. I think a rematch with Brady's a terrible fight. I reckon Shavkat beats him. Buckley's an awful fight. I think there's too many bad fights for Bilal Muhammad for me to trust him to kind of build himself back up. And he's like 37 years old. Anyway, the lightweight division, the lightweight champion a year from now. Believe it or not, it's going to be Arman Tsarukyan. You guys are ready for this conversation. Arman Tsarukyan will be the lightweight champion in 365 days, and nobody's ready for this conversation. Everybody's excited for Topuria versus Oliveira, and rightfully so. It's an amazing title fight. Now, while that takes place, I think they're going to do Arman Tsarukyan in a number 1 contender fight against either Gaethje, Paddy Pimblett, or Dan Hooker. He beats all 3 of those guys. I'm not saying it's going to be easy, but I would favour Arman Tsarukyan to beat all 3 of those guys. And I think after that, they'd give Tsarukyan the champion. Whether it's Oliveira, I mean, we've seen this fight before before at UFC 300. I probably lean towards Tsarukyan winning that fight again. And if it's Topuria versus Tsarukyan, I think Tsarukyan's one of the worst fights for Topuria in the UFC right now. I'm probably going to lean to Tsarukyan winning that fight too. I think nobody's ready for this conversation. He's got equally as good wrestling as Makhachev. I'm excited to see the improvements he's made. Obviously, we were supposed to at UFC 311 and he pulled out. But I think Tsarukyan's going to be a champion a year from now. More experience after beating a contender, gets the title fight, and he will beat Oliveira, and he will beat Topuria if need be. Arman Tsarukyan as the lightweight champion a year from now. And number 1 is going to be Charles Oliveira. Like I said before, this is again another 50-50 fight, but I'm actually leaning towards Oliveira to beat Ilia Topuria and become the lightweight champion again. So I don't think it's going to be an easy welcome for Topuria at 155. Charles Oliveira is going to become the champion, and like I said, just after that, he's going to lose to Arman Tsarukyan. After Tsarukyan beats contender, and Oliveira is going to get bumped down to number 1. Number 2 is going to be Ilia Topuria himself. Yeah, like I said, he's going to lose to Oliveira in the title fight, and they're going to rank Topuria quite highly at 155, probably put him at number 2. Or maybe he just beats another contender. Maybe they do Paddy versus Topuria, and he knocks Paddy out. Maybe they do, I don't know, just any other top contender like a Gaethje against Topuria, and he knocks one of them out, and I think he'll end off this time next year at number 2 in the lightweight division. Number 3, Paddy Pimblett will break into the top 3 of the lightweight division. Paddy Pimblett's going to be in the top 3. They're not going to do Arman Tsarukyan versus Paddy Pimblett next. I don't think. That could be an option, but I don't think the UFC would do that simply to protect Paddy Pimblett and the fact that that is the worst fight for Pimblett in the top 5. They're going to do like a Pimblett versus Gaethje. I think that's the direction the UFC heading to. Honestly, I think Pimblett wins that fight after how we've been seeing Gaethje perform in his last couple of fights and how Pimblett just looked against Michael Chandler. I reckon Pimblett beats Justin Gaethje, and then we'll lose to like a Topuria or an Arman Tsarukyan for the lightweight belt, and we'll end up at number 3. So I think Paddy Pimblett's going to go 1-1 in the next year, beat a top contender like Justin Gaethje, fight for the belt, lose in a title fight, but I think he'll end up at number 3. Number 4, Max Jerome Holloway will be at number 4. He's obviously going to got that fight coming up with Dustin Poirier. Again, I know I've said this about 50 times this video. It's a 50-50 fight, but I'm leaning towards Holloway winning that fight because of how he looked last time at 155. And then after that, he's going to fight like a Tsarukyan or Oliveira, one of the top contenders at lightweight, and he's going to lose. So I'm going to put Max Holloway at number 4, stays in the top 5 for beating Dustin Poirier, but doesn't, obviously win a belt. Number 5, I think Mateusz Gamrot will build himself back up to be number 5. Yeah, Gamrot's been in an absolute roll. I don't really know how the matchmaking's going to look for Gamrot in the next year. Maybe he fights like a Benoit Saint Denis and then gets a winner, gets like a he's already fought Dan Hooker, but like a Gaethje or something, and breaks back into the top 5. But I think Gamrot, as of right now, apart from maybe Tsarukyan, is the best wrestler in 155, and he'll be in the top 5. Number 6, I think, will be Justin Gaethje. I reckon he loses to Paddy Pimblett, probably takes a lot of damage, maybe even retires, maybe number 6 is quite a bad shout, because I think if he does lose to Paddy, he'll probably retire, but if not, he'll be at number 6. Number 7, Dan Hooker, loses to one of the top contenders, gets bumped down to number 7. Number 8, Joel Alvarez. He's got a fight booked with Grant Dawson. He's going to smoke Grant Dawson, probably finishes him, and then beats some fights, maybe some like Benil Dariush or another top 10 guy, beats one of them, ends off at number 8. And number 9, I'm going to go Moicano. You got to trust Moicano that he's going to stay in the top 10 a year from now. I'm going Renato Moicano at number 9. Biggest changes in the next year, I think, will be Arman Tsarukyan taking what's his. Everybody's, hyping up Oliveira versus Topuria. It's an amazing title fight, don't get me wrong. But Tsarukyan, it's his belt. It's Tsarukyan's belt is going to take what's his and it's going to become the lightweight champion a year from now. And we're also going to see Paddy and Gamrot reach the top. Paddy Pimblett, if he actually manages to get in the top 3 or even secures a title fight, we need to start giving him his props. People saying that he's going to get killed the second he fights a top 15 guy. Oh, could you imagine Paddy Pimblett versus like a top 15 guy? And then potentially him fighting for a belt, give him his credit. And like I just said, Gamrot, one of the best wrestlers, if not the best in this division, is going to get that and break the top 5. Featherweight champion a year from now, hopefully, will be on still Alexander Volkanovski. After watching him against Diego Lopez and the fact that he does seem to be here for a bit of a longer time, I think Volkanovski will be a champion a year from now. The title lineage is going to be Volkanovski versus Yair Rodriguez. This is what I feel like the UFC are going to do. I know that Mexican pay-per-view has now been moved to a fight night in Texas, but it does seem like the UFC are going to be looking at doing Volk and Yair too. And why wouldn't I pick Volk to win this fight? He smoked Yair before, and he'll smoke him again. And then I think it'll be Evloev versus Volkanovski. They might do Evloev versus Pico. Evloev wins, fights for the belt, and I think this is again quite a favourable matchup for Alexander Volkanovski. We've seen him against grapplers before in Makhachev. He's handled them pretty well, and I don't think Evloev's striking is anywhere near the level of Volkanovski's. Volk wins that fight. So I think Volkanovski will still be the champion a year from now with 2 more defenses. Number 1 will be Diego Lopez. Yeah, I think Lopez is going to secure himself at number 1. Obviously, he's just lost to Volkanovski, but I think he beats an Arnold Allen or a Yair Rodriguez or a Lerone Murphy. So I think he's going to fight another contender probably probably later on this year, beat another contender or just beat a few contenders and kind of secure himself at number 1, potentially lining up for a title fight late 2026. Number 2, I'm going to go Movs or Evloev at number 2. Yeah, I think they are going to do Evloev versus Pico, and I reckon he beats Aaron Pico pretty comfortably. I think Pico's kind of overhyped coming into the UFC, and then after that, he's going to get bumped up in the rankings. He'll fight Volkanovski, lose, but losing to the champion doesn't really deduct you too many ranking spots, so I think they'll put him right behind Diego Lopez, who he has a win over. Movs or Evloev at number 2. Number 3 will be Yair Rodriguez. It's going to be Gatekeeper Rodriguez. That is his new legacy. It's kind of like Carlos Ulberg for light heavyweight. It's going to be Gatekeeper Rodriguez. He's going to lose to Alexander Volkanovski. He's going to lose to Movs or Evloev. He's going to lose to Diego Lopez. All 3 of those guys ranked above him are going to beat him. But he probably beats enough people to stay in the top 5. I don't even know if I'd pick him to beat like an Arnold Allen at this point. But I think if you put him against like a Lerone Murphy or some other dude coming up in the featherweight division, he probably beats them and stays in the top 5 because for some reason he's massively gifted. Number 4, I'm going to go Gene Silver to break the top 5 and have a crazy 2025 and 2026. Yeah, we still don't really know the level of Gene Silver, so I can't say who he's going to fight, who he's going to beat, how it's going to go. But he does look phenomenal. You know, that fight with Bryce Mitchell, a couple of other guys that he's beaten in the UFC. I reckon Gene Silver will build himself up to be top 5. Maybe like beat an Arnold Allen, beat somebody in the top 5, manages to break the top 5. I don't know how it's going to go, but I reckon we'll see Gene Silver break the top 5. And at number 5, I think Arnold Allen will make a bit of a comeback. Again, it's kind of tough to say how Allen's going to be because he's dealing with an injury. I don't even know if he's going to come back this year. Hopefully he's back this year. And again, there's a bunch of 50-50 fights out there for Arnold Allen, but I don't know if I'd like, again, it's similar to Gene Silver. I don't know how this year is going to look for Arnold Allen, but I trust him that he's going to stay in the top 5. So I'll put Arnold Allen at number 5. Number 6, I'm going to go Aljamain Sterling. Probably gets a couple of wins. Gate keeps outside the top 5, but stays at number 6. Number 7, Lerone Murphy. Loses to an elite contender. Beats an up-and-coming guy. Kind of gets, a bit of an unfair treatment. I reckon he's going to get, fight like Yair Rodriguez, lose to Rodriguez, and then maybe beat 2 other guys. Number 8, I'm going to go with Pat Sabatini. Underrated dude, best unranked featherweight right now. One of the best grapplers in this division. He's going to build himself up and he'll end off at number 8. And number 9, I've gone Josh Emmett. Knocks out brutally some up-and-coming guy and then gets smoked by somebody else in the top 15. The significant changes that I think featherweight's going to see in the next year will be Gene Silver rising to the top. It's going to be a massive year for Gene Silver. He's going to break the top 5. And I think potentially this time next year, we might have a title fight scheduled involving Gene Silver. Bantamweight. I think the champion in the Bantamweight division a year from now will be Merab Dvalishvili and Still. Yeah, I think the title lineage is going to go, obviously, tomorrow we've got Merab versus O'Malley, so this might age terribly in 24 hours. But we've got that fight with Merab and O'Malley, and I am going to pick Merab to beat Sean O'Malley. I already broke it down in the prediction video, and I think he just beats everybody else. Listen, there's tough fights for Merab out there. Sandhagen's a tough fight. PTN's not a tough fight. We've seen that before, but I just don't see anybody else at this moment in time beating Merab. I think he's unstoppable. He's in his prime in the Bantamweight division. So I think a lot of these other contenders I'm favouring Merab to beat, and I think he stays the champion. Number 1 will be Sean O'Malley. Yeah, O'Malley's kind of going to do what Diego Lopez is going to do at featherweight. Lose to the champion and beat everybody else. I reckon he's going to lose to Merab at UFC, I forgot that, UFC 316. He's going to lose to Merab at UFC 316, and then he's going to beat another guy. Maybe it's a PTN rematch. Maybe it's a Song Yadong. Maybe it's even like a patch mix on Mario Batista. He's going to smoke every other contender, but he's just, the boogeyman for him is going to be Merab, and he's going to stay at number 1. Number 2 in the division is going to be Umar Nurmagomedov. I reckon Umar will be number 2. Yeah, I think they're going to do Umar versus Patchy Mix or Umar versus Song Yadong, or maybe even Umar versus Mario Batista next, and I'm going to pick Umar to beat one of those guys, and then I think he beats every other bantamweight outside of Merab. I have a weird feeling that the UFC are going to kind of keep O'Malley away from Umar Nurmagomedov because they don't want O'Malley to lose, and therefore they're not going to put Umar Nurmagomedov at number 1 in the division, but I feel like he'll beat enough contenders to stay at number 2 and then eventually earn his title fight again against Merab. Number 3, I've gone Peter Yan. Yeah, I think Peter Yan will end up losing to Merab again, or maybe loses to like a Sean O'Malley again, or then just go and beat another contender. So I think for Peter Yan, it's pretty solid to say that he's going to stay in the top 5. Don't know who he's going to fight, how it's going to go, but I'm going to go Peter Yan in the top 5. And also Corey Sandhagen. Again, it's same for Peter Yan. I don't know how it's going to look in the next year for Corey Sandhagen. I just don't think he's going to become a champion. Terrible stylistic fight from Merab. I hope we see that fight. And even O'Malley could be a great fight. But I feel like Corey Sandhagen's fate is to be a top elite contender and never win a belt. And at number 5, I've gone Song Yadong. Same for Corey Sandhagen. Just kind of stays in that same position for a long time. Probably loses to everybody above him, but beats everyone below him. Anyway, number 6 in the division I think will be Davison Figueiredo. I don't know how Figgy's going to look in the next 12 months because he looked awful against Corey Sandhagen. I never thought I'd say this, but I don't think he's going to be in the top 5. Looked awful against Sandhagen, and I think he'll be at number 6. Number 7, I'm going to go with Vinicius Oliveira, Lockdog. He's got a fight booked against Kyler Phillips in a couple of weeks. He's going to beat Kyler Phillips, break into the top 15, and then beat somebody in the top 10. Lockdog will be ranked in the Bantamweight top 10 a year from now. Number 8, I've gone with Ahmed Zahabi. Probably fights like a Henry Cejudo, smokes Cejudo, makes the top 10. And then number 9, I think will be Patchy Mix. He's got a fight booked with Mario Batista tomorrow. I think what they're going to do is him versus Mario Batista. He's going to beat Mario Batista. They'll do him versus like O'Malley or another crazy name, and then he'll lose and stay at number 9. So I'm going to go Patchy Mix at number 9. Significant changes at Bantamweight. Merab reaches GOAT status. I think within a year from now, we're going to see Merab beat O'Malley, obviously tomorrow. We'll see Merab beat maybe like a Corey Sandhagen after that. And then we'll go and see Merab beat maybe like a PTN or an Umar in a rematch. And he will reach GOAT status, not only for the Bantamweight division, but just in general. He's going to be one of the top 10 greatest of all time. Flyweight. The Flyweight champion a year from now, not trying to be boring, but it's going to be Alejandro Pantoja. I don't see anybody beating Pantoja as of right now. Pantoja's looked incredible. The title lineage will be him and Kai Kara France at UFC 317. He's going to have a very, very close fight with Kai Kara France, and he's going to beat him. And then after that, I don't care who they put him against, whether it's Manel Kape, who's already lost to Pantoja, Moreno, who's already 0-3 against Pantoja, Royval, who's 0-2 against Pantoja. He's going to beat all of them. Nobody in this division right now is, striking me as a contender that he's going to dethrone Pantoja. There's no one there. I think Pantoja's going to stay as a champion a year from now, and he will be a champion, and like I said, one of the greatest of all time. Number 1 will be Brandon Moreno. Yeah, I think Moreno's just going to keep beating these other contenders, and then he'll end up losing to Pantoja. Now, the reason Royval's not number 1 is because I really do feel like Royval's going to go to Bantamweight. He's already said before that he has the idea of moving to 135 because he's Flyweight. Well, he has to cut a lot to make Flyweight, and obviously if he doesn't win a belt, he's going to move up anyway. So I don't think Royval's going to be in the division. I think Moreno's going to be number 1, kind of keeping that number 1 contender fight just behind, keeping that number one ranking spot just behind Pantoja. Pretty warm. Number 2, I'm going to go Kai Kara France. Yeah, I think he's going to lose to Pantoja, and then because Amir Albazi is going to fall off and Royval's going to move to the Bantamweight division, I think automatically Kai Kara France is just going to get promoted to number 2 anyway. So I reckon we'll see a KKF at number 2. Number 3, I think will be Manel Kape. Yeah, he's got a fight booked with Royval, in which I'm leaning towards Royval winning that fight, and I think we'll see Manel Kape go out there and smoke 2 more ranked contenders afterwards, whether it be like a Tagir Ulanbek over an Alex Perez, just 2 of unranked, 2 other top 10 guys, and then he's going to get bumped up to number 3 because obviously Royval's left the division anyway. Number 4, I think will be Tatsuro Taira. Going to have a bit of a comeback, is Taira. He's got a fight booked with Albazi. He's going to absolutely turn Albazi into a pretzel and beat him like he owes him money. He's going to have a bit of a comeback, I think. Maybe again after that, he's going to lose to a top contender, fights like a Moreno, loses to Moreno, maybe even gets a title fight and loses to Pantoja. I feel like at this moment in time, Taira's got potential, but I don't see him becoming a champion or beating the elites of the division in a year from now, but he'll stay in the top 5. At number 5, I've gone Joshua Get in the Van. Joshua Van, he's on the rise, and he is the future of the Flyweight division. Super young, super active, got everything to be a great fighter. He's booked tomorrow against Bruno Silva. I think he beats Bruno Silva and just kind of makes his way through the Flyweight division and ends up at number 5. Number 6, I've gone with Mohamed Makayev. I think Makayev's going to be back in the UFC a year from now. Maybe not anytime soon, but I think he's going to keep having these fights in like Brave, CF, and these other promotions. And I think eventually the UFC are going to bring Makayev back to the Flyweight division for some hope that we can maybe get a new champion. Number 7, I'm going to go Amir Albazi. He's going to lose to Taira, have a bit of a fall off. Number 8, Steve Erceg beats Alex Perez. Maybe has to face another up-and-comer, but I don't think he's going to do enough to maybe cement himself back in the top 5. And number 9, I've got Lonnie Kavanaugh, the future of the Flyweight division. He's going to smoke. He's not going to smoke Charles Johnson, but I think he beats Charles Johnson and does enough to make the top 10 by a year. Significant change is going to be Pantoja reaches top 10 GOAT status. If Pantoja has 2 or 3 more defenses in the next year, it's him and Demetrius Johnson, honestly, at that point will be very, very close in terms of like greatest flyweight of all time. And Pantoja's going to be one of the top 7 GOATs of the sport. He's going to reach top 10 GOAT status. I think we're going to see the rise of Joshua Van as well. He's going to stay active. He's going to stay piecing up these contenders. He's going to be a bit of a decision machine, but he's going to break the top 10 or top 5 of the flyweight division. And Makayev will come back as well. The UFC, they're going to bring back Makayev. He's going to win on the regional scene. They'll probably pay him peanuts. thoughts and say, you know, you do any dumb shit, you're getting kicked out again. They'll give him some unfavorable matchup, but he's going to win, and he'll be back in the top 10 of the flyweight division. But that is my predictions for the UFC rankings a year from now, how they're going to look. Let me know your thoughts if you agree, disagree, and your thoughts on these ranking placements. Thank you for watching.